I'm here joined by Colin Montgomerie. I'm sorry guys, you can't see very much of me today because I have had to take some measures against this driving rain. But Colin very kindly joined us in the studio yesterday. He's now back out here in the rain on the 18th hole with me at Royal St George's, so that is dedication for us. First of all, Colin, what is it like to be at an Open Championship but not playing?
Awful. But not here with you. It's fine here with you, but on the last fairway here, thinking about the stands being full this afternoon, I do miss this, and this has given me extra incentive to get back into the Open Championship Royal Rhythm next year, and I'll be doing my utmost to get there, because this has been a weird experience. To come down to an Open Championship without one's clubs is weird, and I don't want that to happen again.
I can imagine, and the people certainly miss seeing you. Look how many people we've got here just watching you being here. Anyway, having an
yes, we've got a few people here on the walkway of 18. So here we are standing the 18th fairway, and it's amazing. It's an amazing sight, amazing atmosphere, amazing scene, the whole set that we have here, and it is dramatic, and it's the best in golf. There's no question. The Masters, the US Open, the US PGA do not have this theatre as we have here, and the Open Championship remains the best of all.
It certainly does, and quite rightly Colin has mentioned we are here on the 18th, and the drama that does unfold on this hole. The tees behind us, the greens in front of us. I hope you can still hear us and see us because it is very rainy. But so this is the climax. This is where it all happens on 18. From your experience, what goes through your head if you're in contention on that final walk down the 18th on an Open Sunday? Yeah,
well, it's been a few times. I've played with Tiger Woods the last day at St Andrews, of course, but that's more wide open. This is much more demanding as an 18th hole. Of course, US Opens, US PGAs, Masters have been there, but this is very different, and you can't help but get nervous. If somebody said he wasn't nervous, he's lying. Okay, there's no question. And this is a very severe green. We know this green slopes terribly much left to right, right to left, off this bank. The wind today, as we see, is blowing right across us, left to right. So for right-handers, and most of you're going to see people miss this green on the right-hand side here all day long and try and get up and down from there, because we know we can't go left. So it's very, very severe, and with all these crowd, later on, weather doesn't even matter. The crowd here are fantastic. They will get wet all day. There's no one here right now because we're, 3 hours before the first group comes in down the 18th, but towards the end of this day, this will fill up to watch, of course, Darren Clarke and Lucas Glover come down here about 7 o'clock this evening, and it'll be packed. Yeah. Now, just as you mentioned Darren Clarke, I'm going to come back to this hole in a minute, but how great is it to see some of your mates up there, a couple of your vice-captains totally in the hunt at this year's Open? Indeed, I don't know why they were vice-captains. They should have played for me. Thomas Bjorn there, he's third equal, and of course Darren Clarke's leading, and fantastic. They were great for me at the Ryder Cup. My whole team. Sergio Garcia's involved as well. He's level par for the championship. So there's 3 of my vice captains doing a lot better than half the team were. When you think of Westwood and Donald having missed the cut, and Harrington and Poulter and McDowell, it's amazing how many. Francesco Molinari. It's amazing how difficult it was over the first 2 days for them, but great. And I'd love to see Darren or Thomas walking down here with a 3-shot lead, knowing that it's theirs, and not having to walk up here nervous as hell, wondering if they're going to make par or not to win. So I would really love it, and all European golf would as well. I'm sure they would. And so what is it about these guys then? Why is it that you chose them as your vice-captains? They were still playing, and obviously I was right in that. They're still playing, they're still competitive. They knew the players, they knew my Ryder Cup team. They were playing with them week in, week out. I didn't want anybody over 50 involved, because they're slightly out of the scene, if you like. So I wanted players that were playing. Sergio, Paul McGinley, Lazabal, Thomas, Darren. These sort of guys were involved for the very good reason that they were playing, and they are playing, and they're proving themselves playing here in this fantastic championship. I mean, first and third, it's superb effort. Okay, so back to this 18th hole, but before I talk about this 18th hole again, I want to talk about 18th holes in general and finishes at these big events. Colin Montgomerie, for those of you that don't know, had a spectacular shot at the Dubai Desert Classic back in '96. I think it won Shot of the Year, your second approach shot. Just talk us through that. Yeah, well, normally I don't take risks at 18th holes. I was playing against Miguel Angel Jimenez, who is still there at 3 under in this championship for, 14, 15 years later. And I was playing against him and wanted to finish it off. I was 1 ahead, and hit a driver off the fairway, 230 yards, and it stopped within 8 foot of the hole, and thank you very much. But I haven't really done that much. I'm more percentage of a golfer, and I think that would be a mistake here to risk anything, to go close to any hole. But it brings me back again to 1996, and then of course 2006. That worked in 96, and 2006 didn't work for me when I'm walking up the last hole needing a 4 to win the US Open, and well, for want of a better word, messed up completely. Vijay Singh, my playing partner, was messing around in some tents, and I took too long over the shot, and of course all the negative thoughts come. So I'm convinced if I walked up to that shot now and hit it in real time, I'd have won the US Open. But of course I wasn't allowed to do that. So the guys coming up here, however experienced you are, and I was experienced in 2006, I'd been a pro for 20 years by then, and still you can make mistakes, and I made a mistake then, and this hole especially is very, very dramatic. You see the pin today is cut quite far back on the green, bringing that out of bounds so that we have, you see the 4 chairs behind the green there for the marshals. That's very closely out of bounds, and it's only 10 yards through the back of the green, and you have to start again. So that's a very tough pin position. You see how the slope now goes right to left down there. You don't want to go down on the left-hand side. That's 3-putt corner, and on the right-hand side, it slopes off viciously down a big slope, and you have to chip. So it's a very demanding hole, and you see this slope coming up to the green here. It's all just difficult. It's all set. That was Rory McIlroy's bunker yesterday, where he plugged his shot on the right-hand side here and managed to get out. Now, I mean, this bunker's bad enough. Never mind plugging the ball up the face as he did yesterday evening, and a dramatic shot he had, and a great putt to hold to keep himself level par and keep himself well within this championship. We've got the lead now is 4 under. The cut was 3 over. That's 7 shots covering the whole field. Anybody here, especially in these conditions, can actually win this.
They really can. You're so right. Colin's just come up with so many points to pick up on. Cameraman Frankie here is having to keep wiping his lens because of this rain. So you did just mention Rory McIlroy. We saw him make a fantastic up and down here. And you mentioned the mental attitude when approaching a shot.
Yes.
You back in the 2006 US Open. Now, I recall you talking about that back at Golf Live when you were giving some instructionals. How important is your mental state of mind when you step over that ball?
You have to believe, and that was the problem with me. There was some self-doubt there, and you have to believe that this is going to happen, or else it won't. And I was just a little bit of self-doubt. I was in between a 7 and a 6 iron. That was doubt. There was doubt in missing the ball right. There was the time I had to think about it. I couldn't think in that positive way for that length of time. So unfortunately there was a lot of doubt there, and the winner here on Sunday afternoon here, Sunday evening, will have no doubt coming up this last hole. No doubt. And then you're about to ask me, who do you think is going to win? I know you are. I know you are.
He's reading online now.
I think Charles Schwartzel will finish second to Martin Kaymer. I think Martin Kaymer's going to come through here and win his second major in only the second major in
2 years.
In 2 years, and I think that he's the one to beat. Anyone beats Martin Kaymer wins, and I think Charles Schwartzel will come close, having the confidence of winning the Masters recently. Martin Kaymer's got confidence of winning the USPGA, and either one of those will be holding 2 majors at this time come Sunday evening, and I think Martin will just pip him.
Now, I don't think our producer's telling us he wants us to walk on the green, but I don't think we're really allowed to walk on the green.
We're not really. I'm sorry, Mr. Producer, but we're not really supposed to. We haven't got the footwear that is supposed to be, so we'll just stay off there. I don't want to get thrown off at this early stage of my career here.
Very early stage. Listen, interesting point there. Martin Kaymer is who Colin tips to win this championship. What do you see, or what have you seen in Martin this week then that you haven't seen in the others?
He's become more patient over the last year, which he needed to be. He's everything that we all wish of a golfer. He's long, he's straight, his iron play's good, his chipping's good, his putting, his mental attitude is probably the strongest of any of the leaders right now. So over these last 2 days, which will be very difficult, very tricky, and you will be dropping shots, and he's the one that won't get as down as anyone else. So that's why I'm favouring Martin, because not so much technically, but mentally he's the toughest.
Okay, now these conditions today, we've mentioned them, you can see them. Colin's very kindly standing out here in the rain with us.
Well, so are you. Huh?
I've taken a lot of protection, but what do the players need out here today in these conditions? How is it going to affect their game?
They need every shot. They need every shot they do. They need a very good caddy, a caddy with about 9 hands, towels, umbrellas, waterproofs, gloves because you get cold when it's wet like this. Good footwear. We need a caddy that knows exactly what he's doing to keep those clubs perfectly dry, and it's an art for the caddy. The caddies are going to suffer out there today. It's hard work for them. They're going to be tired when they walk off this 18th green and go to the statistics recorders hut themselves to hand in their own statistics for the round. It'll be they'll sleep well tonight, the caddies. And Martin's got Luke Donald's brother, Christian Donald, who Luke had for many years and did so well with. So again, that's an advantage for Martin Keimer.
It is. That's an interesting point about Christian Donald. These caddies, if you find a good caddy, he started with Luke Donald, he's caddied for Paul Casey, he is now with Martin Keimer. But talking about this rain and these conditions, now perhaps some of the Europeans might find it easier, but there are some famous players, Sandy Lyle, that famously plays exceptionally well in the rain. Some players waterproofs everything, some guys just can't handle it.
No, they can't handle it, and it usually goes that the Europeans, it should favour the European golfers this. We tend to think of the Americans playing in the sunshine, and when it rains in America, that usually followed by thunder, so it's all off. So they don't tend to play in the rain the way we do. This course will not flood. It's sand-based, so any rain will go straight through. So play will not be suspended today. We just have to get on with it. And it's not like cricket or tennis where you're off. This is game on here today, and it generally favours the Europeans, South Africans, Australians, who might well be on the leaderboard.
Okay, Colin, I can't keep you out here for too much longer, but just before we leave, let's just walk round here. Take in this view, Frank, cameraman Frank. This is an amphitheatre, as we mentioned. These crowds, come what may with the rain, these grandstands will be full. Just how much do you feel that as a player, and how much do you miss that?
Well, you started off this interview, didn't you, by do I miss it? And the answer remains the same. I do miss it terribly. The closer you get to the green, walking back, when you think of not just the stands full, but every railing 10 deep, and it's so nice that the R&A have honoured Seve in this way. There's about 10 images of Seve on the grandstands there, 1957 to 2011, and he's sadly missed from this event, and he was sadly missed from the world of golf, and I'm so glad that the R&A have honoured him that way, having won the Open Championship 3 times as he did.
Final question, then I promise you can go inside.
Not at all.
What did Seve mean to you as a golfer, as a friend, as a fellow player?
Seve was European golf. There's one word to describe Seve, as passion. And you see the image there, him saluting. That's a famous salute that he gave when he won the Open in '84 at St Andrews. And that, I think, will become our tour logo. From Harry Vardon will change, and it'll become the logo of Seve Ballesteros, and that means everything. There's no one else that could take over that Harry Vardon mantle, apart from one guy, Seve.
What a tribute, and I've just lied because I've got one more. How much did that phone call with Seve help you guys win that Ryder Cup?
It helped my rookies considerably. The rookies might not have known the passion that it meant for us, older players, hate to say, but they left that room very different than they arrived, believe me. Very different, and I just wish I'd taped that conversation, because it was a historic conversation that we had with the Ryder Cup team, the last time that Seve spoke to a Ryder Cup team, and I just wish we'd taped it, knowing how ill he was, and it's a shame we didn't. But in some ways, some people say, well, you're glad you didn't tape it, because that was between the 12 of us and Seve, and he really helped us win that Ryder Cup, there's no question.
Exactly, it was a personal moment. For those of you watching that don't remember, back in Celtic Manor, the 2010 Ryder Cup, Seve Ballesteros had a phone call conversation with the European Ryder Cup team in their team room, and I think it did nothing but inspire them. So that was a very special moment. Anyway, I must let Colin Montgomerie return to the hospitality suite.
I must let you retire to the hospitality suite, because you're as damp as I am here. Terrible,
come on then, let's go together. Let's walk on back. We're going to leave this 18th green for the drama to unfold.